Hey there, welcome to Science Flixtion. My name is Salim Sitterwala, and I'm with my co-host and friend, Carl Ames. Carl, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good. Nice and warm, staying cozy.
Yes, it's nice and warm. Everything is good. I think nothing too adventurous has been going on for the most part. We're going to be talking about Uncharted today. I know we both of us went and saw that. Anything new and exciting for you, or just like just hanging in there, getting through the week, enjoying your day-to-day stuff?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, just kind of laying back, working on my current projects. Take some time off to do that because I just want to get this stuff done, and then I'll just try to work over the weekend, and yeah, nothing really terribly exciting going on at the moment. Some things happening in the future, but that's about it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been about the same for me. Just doing my thing, getting through uh my stuff. Like it's funny. We keep talking about stuff on Disney Plus. I'm rewatching again the Avengers series, the original, like the early 2001. I'm starting to rewatch that again, and it's
Oh,
so
the one
good.
that didn't have Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man in it.
No, it did.
Avenger. The one that was like early 2000s. That was on Fox.
I don't
Or
remember
are you
that
talking
one.
about
Maybe
Earth's
I'm t-
Mightiest Heroes?
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that
no,
one's like mid 2000s. Yeah.
I
Okay.
was admit I can't remember exactly when it appeared, but no, yeah, I have I started watching that again, and it's so fun. I've told you in the past I really love the intro song. It's such
hmm
like
It's
it's a,
fun.
I wish I could find it somewhere I can download it so I can just listen to that. There has to be like a full version somewhere I can find.
Probably, yeah.
I've tried to look. I tried. It's funny. I did like the what's that the app, the music scanner app. What's it called again? Shazam.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I tried to see if it picked up, like if an actual band did it or not, but it doesn't pick it up. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't recognize it. So I don't know if there's uh someone just, I don't know if maybe the show writers just made it up on randomly. It's like one verse and that's about it. But yeah, maybe I can still find it online. I haven't really made a big effort to find it, to be honest, but that was like my lazy effort. Like, see, hey, maybe this
hmm
will pick it up, but it didn't really pick it up, and it says not didn't recognize it. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a more deep dive into the song and see if I can find it somewhere. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Uncharted today, giving our thoughts about that. I know we both are on the opposite side as far as like you've played the video game and I haven't. And I know there's been a lot of conflicting on both sides, like people that haven't played the video game. Uh, have generally loved it, and people who have played the video game have not. So we'll talk about that. We won't get into that yet.
Hmm.
Um, but we do have some fast flicks that we want to uh, talk about before we get into Uncharted. So first, we have something released with Thor, Love and Thunder. Um, some toys that were released, action figures, I should say, that kind of show like full on what they look like in costume and stuff like that. So I'll let you lead off with that.
Yeah, as many of you may see, I collect a lot of toys. So I was just perusing the internet last night, and late I just discovered these. These are action figures made by SH Figure Arts, which they are very well known for their detail and just like going above and beyond for just details and stuff. You can see these cloths of their capes are made of cloth instead of plastic, but that's beside the point. This is like a first pretty solid look at like a full costume of what Jane Foster as Thor and Odin's son are going to look like in Thor Love and Thunder. The movie itself is coming out later this year. I believe November is the time frame. And I just thought it was cool because we did talk about this a few weeks ago. There was like some concept art, and this is kind of, I guess, based off of that. So I would say this is kind of subject to change in a little bit, in that sometimes the toy companies they get the concept art and they have to make the toys based off of that, and then the movie comes out, and then there's a color that's different or maybe an added detail that wasn't in the concept art, etc, and then that end up being incorrect toys. But for what it's worth, this is a toy that's coming out. I believe you can pre-order it now, and it comes out in August, so it's going to come out before the movie. And yeah, so this is relatively what we're going to see in the movie. We see Jane with the helmet and without the helmet, but I think one of the most interesting things about seeing this is seeing her. She's wielding Mjolnir, but it's all cracked up. So, if anyone can remember Thor Ragnarok, which is the last movie we saw Mjolnir, and that Hela destroyed Mjolnir in her hands. Thor threw the hammer, and she stopped it, and then she crushed it, and there was no more Mjolnir. And Thor just went on and uh, tried to, do whatever he could without the hammer. He ended up getting the Stormbreaker in Infinity War towards the end of that movie, but he didn't have Mjolnir pretty much right away in that movie. So we're gonna see that hammer return, and it's gonna be re-weld together. Maybe it's held together by magic. Are we gonna see it being like actually put back together? We don't know the circumstances quite yet, but it is an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, they look nice. I mean, they look like they're fun action figures that you probably don't want to play with. I think you probably want to just collect them and have them sit on your shelf and
Yeah, not
admire
for
them.
90 bucks.
The Yeah, yeah. I what was I gonna say? Um, no, but yeah, the costumes are nice. I mean, like, I'm excited about this movie. Like, I'm glad that that Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to leave MCU. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad he's continuing the character, even if this is the last like Thor movie. I hope in the part of MCU, and he's gonna be in random stuff throughout Phase 4. I hope so. Like, it's nice to see that. Like, Thor is such a big character that it would suck that if he said like, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, wait, now we don't have Thor now. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's fun. I'm excited. Like I said, with everything coming, and I think the rumor was that they're supposed to be dropping the trailer for the first trailer for the movie, and when they do, we'll talk about that. But we'll see when that happens.
Yeah, and I'd imagine it's probably going to be soon if they're talking about, already releasing images for these figures and we know what the characters look like. I would imagine it'd be pretty soon they were going to see a trailer.
Yeah, exactly. And then they keep teasing it, so I don't know. I thought it was supposed to drop sometime this week. I mean, it's still midweek, so maybe we'll see it by like Friday or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited on that. There's uh, there's some other stuff obviously happening too with our fast flicks. A couple of tidbits had been released just like yesterday. I want to say, they came across when I was just kind of perusing the comic book websites, and I noticed that they had announced two additions to two separate movies, one being MCU and one being on the Sony side. So the first one, we know we've talked about this before that they're going to be doing Craven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven, uh, like Sergei Krenov, and he's going to be not nope not that Uh, not that yet. No pictures yet. uh, he's going to be in the movie. Oh, he's going to be the star of the movie, and they announced that they're going to have Fred Hetchinger that's going to be joining the him as his half brother Chameleon. So the first depiction of Fred Hetchinger, he I can't. I'm not really don't know much about him. As far as an actor, I I mean, what I've read from people that said some stuff about him, they said that he's a pretty good actor. But he, like I said, he's gonna be playing Chameleon, and I know a lot about the Chameleon. So he was the Chameleon. If you go on to the next picture, although you'll see, so he's like the first ever villain and adversary that Spider-Man faced. Like he's literally in Spider-Man one, the number one Spider-Man issue that was created. Um, and he's essentially like a master of disguise. He's like a brilliant method actor and impressionist, and he can basically turn himself into anything, like make him look like anything. And eventually he like his powers improve as like the comic books go on. He eventually has like, instead of just masks, he has like technology that he can make himself look like whatever have you. But yeah, that was interesting, I thought, as far as that casting that they're going to go with. So like I'm assuming when you look at this picture and what Chameleon looks like, you probably won't really see the actor's face. It'll probably just be something similar ish maybe, or maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, they
Um,
can go the route where, like, the animated series, which I always loved that version of Chameleon because he had that belt where he would take the picture of the person in the belt, and then that way he would use the technology to make the transformation. He didn't have the mask, he didn't have that big face shield thing or whatever it's called. So it was like technology slash power for him to be able to change into other people, and he can do it on a whim. He can do it have multiple faces, and people change at multiple like identities. There we go. At the same time that he can just switch back and forth instead of having all these masks you have to keep in a pocket or whatever stuff like that. And it would change his clothing
yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the technology made him like completely be able to blend in and look like the other person that he was trying to impersonate. And he's impersonated Spider-Man before, trying to frame him for like a robbery, or just trying to like be different people like J. Jonah Jameson, for example, and various different things, because he's usually trying to do something illegal, or try to get something that like like a spy would, or something for another. So yeah, he does that now. Fred Hetchinger, I had written down some of the shows he had been on. I just accidentally, and I noticed I deleted it, but I looked up on his IMDb, and it looks like, so he's in that new Pam and Tommy miniseries, I guess, and then
Oh, okay.
I guess he's most known for the show White Lotus, the White Lotus. So yeah, it looks like he has. I mean, he has a pretty good as far as roles that he's played. He's been in a lot of different things. Kind of just looking at his IMDb, and he should be a solid addition. I guess, and we'll see. Like the Craven movie, it'll be interesting because Craven is a big villain in Spider Man. Like he's one of the villains that is probably bested him, Spidey, as far as going one on one with him. I know there's that one, like I said, the one comic series where he actually, buries Spider Man alive, and then he pretends to be Spider Man, kind of goes swinging around the city. And then in the end of the comic, there's kind of assumed that he kills himself. But yeah, it's a really good. That's a really good series comic. But yeah, Craven is definitely a really badass uh, villain in the Spider-Man universe, and obviously they're doing the standalone for Craven, and I'm interested to see if he'll ever come in over to MCU and to be one of the villains in like I know they're doing a trilogy of Spider-Man movies. It would be interesting. Maybe not. Maybe Spider-Man 4. Who knows what they're gonna go with that route for that
Right.
movie? But yeah, that'd be interesting. Um, any real thoughts overall on this casting?
I know nothing about him, but okay, let's just I'm more just interested in the plot of the movie and why he like why Craven is getting the solo movie and again also Chameleon. I know they're related and stuff. So how is it going to tie to Peter Parker and how is it going to tie into the Spider-Verse? That's all I mean, like I want the movie to be good, but like I've said before, I don't think a lot of these characters deserve their full movie
Right,
based off of what they have been, but Sony has been upgrading and making changes to like Morbius and so on to be able to have a movie and possibly have hopefully not a franchise. Like I don't think every character needs to have three movies. Just like you know,
right,
Venom, sure, right? That he's a big deal. Craven probably not. Morbius probably not. Black Cat probably not. And any other Marvel or Spider-Man villain, I don't think they all deserve three movies and a crossover film. And like that's just milking it a little too much. So we'll see. There's right. There's a lot of stories to choose from
I
for,
think I
especially for
more
Craven. But yeah,
Morbius that he does have a little bit of his own like storyline, and there was
not
like
that it was
comics.
popular.
No, yeah, but I think if you're a avid comic book reader, and for the casual fans, like a lot of these like characters, like I don't think Ant Man was popular among casual fans. I mean, I
No,
would think more like, but they obviously the MCU can do a good job with that. But like I'll say, like Morbius, he did have a comic series or background. I mean, like you said, Venom is a big character because obviously Venom had that whole the lethal um, um, Protector series as well, where he goes like to San Francisco and stuff like that, and kind of becomes like this, anti-hero of sorts. And that's when Morbius also becomes an anti-hero eventually too. So, um, but yeah, I think, like I said, in these movies, I mean, Craven, I think, like I said, he's a big character. I don't know if they can do three movies for Craven. I agree with you there, but I think one movie could be solid, especially explaining, who Craven is um, and depending on what they do with him, like I said, I don't know if they're going to be uh, moving into like the MCU. Some of these characters we don't know. Um, I'll say this: I know Matthew here is talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the reason they brought up Guardians of the Galaxy is because they wanted to start doing a lot of the outer space stuff. What's up, Lero? My guy Lero. Uh, but yeah, uh, I think that's why they did Guardians of the Galaxy, man. I think they wanted to do like bring in the outer space elements, and obviously he has ties. Guardians have ties in with Thanos and a lot of various different things, so they wanted to bring that aspect into the MCU, and obviously from that they've been able to do a lot of various different things. So obviously from that they're going to be able to bring in Nova eventually, obviously with Adam Warlock and stuff like that. So I think that's why they brought in the Guardians. Obviously, like most comic book people knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. I did. I
I
knew
wouldn't
who
say that. I wouldn't say that.
well,
That's a little far.
I had heard of them. I had heard of them, but I never
Yeah.
read the comics. I never read the comics, and I think like like the people that did have like a background knowledge on them. But I mean, they like I said, they did a really good job with the first movie, and it was well received. So I mean, they can do a good job. I just we'll see as far as like a Craven movie. I don't know if they can milk that for 3 movies. One movie I can see it getting by, but we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, so moving on. This is the last fast flick before we get into Uncharted. So there was an announcement for Blade. Now we know Marshall Ali is going to be playing Blade, and he was already teased in the end of externals in that um, end credits scene. His voice talking to Dane Whitman, as far as saying, "Are you sure you want to do that, Professor?" Touching the ebony blade, making sure he doesn't turn into the Black Knight yet or something like that. But there was announced that the alum of Krypton, the show he was on that show, Aaron Pierre, who is on the left here, on the right is Marshall Ali. Uh, he is going to be in a co-star opposite of Marshall Ali in the Marvel new Blade picture that is in pre-production right now. I think so. They're trying to do casting and stuff like that. Now they haven't announced the role yet, but I was kind of wondering if if who the role might be. And I mean, it seems like it's going to be a big character. It's not going to be like a smallish character. And I know of a big character in Blade is Hannibal King. Um, there's now if although you could post a picture of a Hannibal King now, obviously they could change a little bit of what he looks like. Obviously, in MCU, they've changed, characters, race and gender of other what do you call it? Other characters that they have done. So, but a little background on Hannibal King. So he's like a private detective who gets bitten and killed by Deacon Frost, who's one of like the main villains in the Blade comic series. And he kind of wakes up. He finds himself. He's one of he's an undead, like a vampire, but he kind of vows to never consume like into the curse, and by like drinking, passing it out to another by like attacking innocent people. And he lives off of like the blood banks. Like that's how he drinks his. That's how he gets human blood, by going to blood banks. And he also like doesn't use his powers. He continues to be like a detective, uses like guns and things like that. Um, so like basically, yeah, he kind of travels, freely at night only. But like I said, he doesn't use his powers. He still operates as a detective, uh, and he's a pretty big character. So I was just wondering if that's who it might be. How much background knowledge do you have on Blade, like the comic books? I've mostly stuff I've read on Blade is when he's interacting with like Spider-Man or like other characters within MCU, but I've never really read a lot of like Blade comic books.
I think I've maybe read one or two comic books with Blade in them, and they weren't his comics. It was like one where he appeared in a Spider-Man comic, and then maybe another comic here and there, but never his own comics. I know more about Blade from the Wesley Snipes movies, as well as some other stuff. From other the Spider-Man animated series, a couple of video games here and there. Um, Pretty much that. I mean, the Wesley Snipes movie is what most people would say that is their knowledge of Blade. Um, but yeah, I don't know any other characters outside of Deacon Frost and Whistler, right?
Whistle,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I really don't know much. That said, I'm still pretty excited for the movie. Like it's gonna be an interesting movie. I don't know that actor very well or at all. Um, and it's hard to talk about it just because it's still a little early. Like we don't know who's cast. If this role going to be big, large, or anything like that. What type of direction they're going in, other than like the Black Knight supposedly is going to be in that Blade movie. Like the next time we see Black Knight would be the Blade movie, and they'll be teaming up, and that's where Midnight Suns might be getting their start um, in that direction. But other than that, I'm anxious to see more. I'm hoping that I don't know. Is that supposed to come out next year, 2024, 2023, 23?
Which one again?
Blade.
Blade. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think they had an official announcement. I think they said,
Mhm.
I mean, if they're in pre-production, I would imagine it's not going to come out 2023. Maybe 2024 is more realistic because so if they're just starting to do casting, maybe they'll start shooting it and towards the end of 2022, and then eventually at some point in 2023 it'll be finished and maybe it'll come out maybe at the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024 is when maybe it'll come out. That would be my guess. Oh, it is. Oh, it's a production, yeah, 2020 summer of 2022. So yeah, they'll start shooting in 2022 and towards the middle, and then maybe they will be done by start of 2023. I don't know how long stuff like that usually takes. I can't remember how long some of these movies take to produce, to complete from beginning to end. I don't know if it takes like a year or it takes like half a year or
Usually,
like four
like post
months.
production, it'll take a couple months. So like actual shooting will take, well, it depends on the movie, of course, but it can take anywhere between like 2 months to like 6 months, or probably something like that. Just depends on special effects and stunts, and like if somebody like is going like the Matrix, like what you call it, I can't even think of his name. You know, God, Neo. Right? He went from being like super scrawny, and then he had like normal body. Like having that physical transformation, it takes time, growing hair out, whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
we'll
it
see.
looks like we have a little note here with for Aldo found. It says Marvel Studios typically releases about a year uh, to year and a few months after filming starts. That's what he found on Screen Rants. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe it'll happen a lot faster because I know originally they had just when they announced Marshall Ali playing Blade, they didn't have a lot else. Like they didn't even decide when they were gonna if he was gonna be part of Phase 4. Really, they just had
Mhm.
that character announced, and then like a lot of other things were announced. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited. I'm hoping like I said before, like the way King T'Challa was introduced, Black Panther. I hope that he Blade also is introduced before his standalone movie, like he's in something. I don't know what that might be. I know you and I theorize maybe he some make a appearance in Black Knight, or maybe he'll make an appearance in another one of these shows, Disney Plus shows that Marvel is doing. But we'll see. Um, but yeah, that's our fast flicks. So far, now we'll get into our main topic that we want to talk about, Uncharted. There is a final trailer that we'll play first, and after the trailer, before we will do a lot some non spoiler related conversations about the movie. So but we will tell our audience before we get into spoilers. So if you wanted to stop listening, we will make sure we let you know. Like I said, before we get into a spoilers conversation. But first off, let's go ahead and play the final trailer of Uncharted.
I've been dreaming about this my whole life. Magellan's gold.
It's the biggest treasure that's never been found.
5 billion, easy.
So when do we start?
Yeah, put that in your ear.
Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. I'm sitting right next to you. Your brother believed that there was a final piece.
Wait, you know my brother Sam? What else aren't you telling me?
You have no idea who you're partnered with.
Sully! Hurry! It's gonna take a little longer than I thought, kid. I assume we're 50-50, right?
50-50? You get 10%. That's me being generous.
Wow.
Let's find some parachutes.
What?
Unless you know a better way to jump out of a plane.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry! Oh, crap! Come on!
500 years ago, my family found the fortune, then was betrayed. So much blood.
You're doing great, Gene.
This ain't over. Hey, you still with me? Barely!
What's with the cat?
She's just for you.
What?
Life seems super sad.
I'm not gonna keep this thing.
Exclusively in movie theaters.
All right, so that was the final trailer. Again, Carl and I did watch the entire film, and again, he and I will have probably two different perspectives as far as someone who's played the video games. Carl has played the video games, and myself, who has not played the video games, who just went and watched it. If I was watching any action movie that had Carl, I'll let you lead off. Go ahead and give us your non-spoiler thoughts on the film, what you thought about it compared to the game. Give your perspective on the game and how you felt like it related to the game, and how you just thought about the movie and the acting and cinematography and blah 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 blah.
Right. So, as Salim mentioned, I am the resident gamer. The PlayStation controller is right there. So yeah, I've played all of the mainline Uncharted games. There are four-ish, five uh games of Uncharted, and I have played them all. And I actually can't wait to play them again. They're very well written games. They're very fun games. Nathan Drake's a great character. He has a great supporting cast, a lot of great voice acting, and just fun gameplay. As far as this movie goes, this movie's story is supposed to be different. It's not supposed to be a one for one translation of the story from the games. And for what it's worth, it's still like gonna have some of those elements from the actual source material, the games. It's just this is a much younger Nathan Drake than what the games have. I think, which I don't know off the top of my head how old he was in the first game, but I would have to guess he was probably in his 30s, maybe early 40s. But I was probably say like somewhere in the mid to late 30s. Um, Whereas this movie with Tom Holland, Nathan Drake is like early to mid 20s, very young. Um, so it's a lot different, as far as that dynamic of this character. He's never gone out, at least as far as we understand, he's never gone out on some sort of treasure hunt or done any of these wild escapades that you see him doing in the movie. So this is still pretty new, and I like that. I like that just fine. I think when we talked about this a few months ago, that like a lot of people, especially that have played the games, really wanted Nathan Fillion to be playing this role. But
Right.
when it comes down to it, Tom Holland is a much more bankable star
Hmm.
than Nathan Fillion, and that already just shows, like, regardless if you think the movie is good or was going to be good or going to be bad, it did pretty well this weekend. I believe it's number one movie in the world. I believe it did what, like 40 or 50 million over the course, opening weekend, and that's domestic, and I believe it's like crossed the $100 million mark globally, and that's just it hasn't even been out for a full week yet, and it's doing good. It's not like it's a huge blockbuster. It's not making hand over hand cash, but it's doing very well, and it's exceeded expectations. They're calling it a hit movie, and I think it's a pretty good movie. Um, Overall, I think the acting, again, nothing stellar, nothing that's gonna win an Oscar or Academy Award or anything like that from anyone in this movie. Um, but it's still adequate. It's not that it's anything bad. And we have this note: Uncharted has the fourth highest debut in history for a video game adaptation, which I've seen all of those movies except for the Tomb Raider one. I need to work on that one. That's the one with
I,
Angelina Jolie.
yeah, so I watched the Tomb Raider one. I'll say this about Detective Pikachu. I started it, like, maybe it's just a slow start, but like I'm probably go ahead and finish it at some point, but like I just wasn't really that into it. I was like, this is like, I don't know what's going on. Like I watched like the first 45 minutes and I was like, this movie's not that really, you know, enticing. Like it's not really catching me yet.
Yeah, I
And
love Detective Pikachu, but I think the audience for it is specific to Pokemon fans because
okay.
it is very whimsical. Like the movie, like just a quick tangent, Detective Pikachu is for people that like Pokemon because for all those who like Pokemon, we always wish that Pokemon were real or that we can live in that world that Pokemon are from. That movie is like the first time we've seen realistic Pokemon interact with human people. So it's like, wow, that's what it would be like. It's like living out a fantasy, like watching it.
Hmm.
So if you don't have that whimsical feeling in you, I don't know if that movie is going to connect with you the same way as actual fans of the
Yeah.
source
You know,
material would.
I'm pretty open. Like I think I also was watching it before bedtime. Like I was trying to like at night and I was just trying to see if I can watch something. It's probably not the best time to try to watch a movie. So I'll probably go back and watch it at some point just to give it a fair shot and see how I like it. But yeah,
Yeah.
back to Uncharted.
Yeah. So yeah, it's again the acting is okay. Um Tom Holland's okay. Um, Mark Wahlberg, honestly, I thought his casting was weird, and I didn't really like it. But in general, he did fine. And if you have that shot of Mark Wahlberg, although you put that one up real quick, I wish he looked like that for the whole movie. This is at the end of the movie, so it's kind of spoilers. But he actually in the promotions for the movie leading up to the release, he has
Hmm.
these promotions with Tom Holland that they've been putting on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff. And he already has the mustache in all of the promotions. And I'm sitting here watching these promotions before the movie. It's like, man, I wish he had that mustache in the movie because he would actually look like Sully now. Because Sully in the games, he's an older gentleman, probably in the 60s or so, 70s. He has a nice full mustache and a lot of gray hair. He's an older guy. But again, Nathan in the games is an older man as well. So they're this age difference and Sully being this young in the movie makes sense. But still, that mustache really made a difference for me. Like, okay, now he feels like Sully. And I wish he had that the whole movie. But if they do a sequel, if that happens, he most likely will have a mustache going forward. So it makes a world of a difference to me, as someone that's a fan of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was to say, I read passingly that apparently that they had originally thought casted him as um to play Nathan Drake, and then they recasted him later
Oh,
because the studios wanted to go another route, apparently, and bring on Tom Holland because Tom Holland's been so popular. I guess obviously he is
hmm,
popular, and I guess he is. um,
yeah, a
but
little bit.
yeah, so yeah, I think that's what I thought. Like, so apparently they went went in that direction, so they changed. Because like there was like a thing where he was kind of surprised that he got recasted as Sully as opposed to Nathan Drake, which I guess if I don't know. We'll get into Mark Wahlberg later as far as his character and so forth. But do you mind if I give my thoughts, or I
Yeah,
don't know
go
if you
ahead.
were done yet? Okay, yeah.
No, go
So
ahead.
I
You
like.
can go back.
So yeah, I thought like the chemistry between cast members was very good. Like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, they made a nice comedic duo. I thought that they had a good back and forth. Overall, I thought the movie was very entertaining. It was enjoyable. Many of the action scenes and stunts weren't very realistic, but I think you kind of expect that for these type of movies, kind of like Fast and the Furious type of movies. You're gonna have stuff that happens like this. This isn't no way possible, but yeah, that's the point. I mean, they're not supposed to be like realistic. It's just supposed to be for the movie. They're supposed to kind of be the fantasy realm in a sense. So I thought, like I said, yeah, that it was fun to watch nonetheless, even if you're not expecting realistic scenarios. Again, scenery, cinematography in various locations was like very visually stunning. And since I didn't play the game and know what the movie's based off of, I didn't really have a problem with like the I guess the authenticity, if you will, of what the game is supposed to be compared to what the movie is supposed to be, and the script and the characters and so forth. I didn't really care that Sully didn't have the mustache at the end. It didn't bother me in any way whatsoever. Like I said, overall, I just thought it was a very entertaining flick. I like.
Did
I know
his
the
mustache bother you when he had it though? That's
No,
the
I
real.
didn't. I thought it was fine. I mean, I think it's fine. Like either way, but I didn't really care about the different characteristics, what they look like, if they're supposed to look like this because they don't in the game and so forth, things like that. I know people that are fans of things can get nitpicky about stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was it was entertaining, and I completely see a sequel happening. Like this, like we've already seen the box office success so far, so that alone will probably make the studios want to do a second movie. But I would welcome a second movie,
Mhm.
in my opinion too. So, but yeah, that's my general non spoiler thoughts on Uncharted. Like I just really I enjoyed it.
I think this movie has potential for a second, like in general, like super in general for me. I almost Well, I wouldn't say I don't like first movies because they do introduce you to things and you have to get used to it. But usually, the first movie in a trilogy or of a franchise is usually too slow paced for me. Like Spider Man, like Tobey Maguire Spider Man. I like it. It's a good movie, but I much prefer Spider-Man 2 because in Spider-Man, you have to set up Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, Green Goblin,
Hmm.
Mary Jane, Aunt May, Uncle Ben, Harry Osborn, Flash Thompson. All these characters need to be introduced. You have to understand what their character archetypes are and how they work with each other, their origin stories, how the powers were, all that sort of stuff, the setup for everything. And then the actual good stuff happens towards the end of the movie, and you only get a little bit of it because they had to spend all this time getting you to understand what these characters are and what this world is like. And then Spider-Man 2, all they have to do is concentrate on Doc Ock because you already know all of the supporting characters. You already know what these people are capable of and how they interact with each other. You're just introducing this one dynamic, and now you can have action scene here and plot development here and character development here, and it's more of the movie. So, like with this movie, just like any other movie that's the first time, you have to introduce Nathan, you have to introduce Sully, you have to introduce Chloe, you have to introduce all the bad guys, what this world is like, what type of, is it fantasy, is it realistic, what type of limitations, etc. Just all of that setup, and then the big action stuff at the end, but it's only a little bit of it. Whereas if we get towards the end of the movie, which we're not going to spoil it right now, but you can see with the end of the movie, okay, now I'm interested in where they're going to take this, because the next movie they can spend more time of them going on treasure hunts and more time of them interacting with each other and having that great dynamic, that great chemistry, and it'll be more entertaining. So I'm actually looking forward to an Uncharted 2. Not to say that this movie was bad, but I do think that the writing could have been better. It could have been more dynamic. Um, One thing that the games have is that they are all very well written games. They do throw a lot of fakes at you. They do have some fantasy elements to them, which actually I'm glad that the movie didn't do, because that might throw people off, because it threw me off when playing the games. And when I mean fantasy, like they go in a whole nother direction, where you think that this is, oh, just like Indiana Jones, or some treasure hunting thing, and it's just some traps here, some booby traps here, then all of this, and then all of a sudden it's like going straight left, and like, why is there an alien, or what is these monsters doing here in my, like, we're just going through a temple, and all of a sudden we got like fantasy swamp things are popping up. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's what happens in some of the games. But it's only for a brief little bit in the games. Didn't have any of that in the movie, so I'm glad about that. Just because I think it's something that could have potentially turned people off, if it just pops up out of nowhere without much build up or explanation or expectation for that sort of thing. Um, Maybe they touch that in the next couple movies and get a little crazier. That I think that they can kind of earn some of the craziness that can happen in this world in another movie.
Yeah, I fully expect them to get crazier, because I think as the movie went on, you saw like crazy stuff happening that's not realistic, and I think they'll take this action stuff, to the max, and it seems like Tom Holland is a good person as far as actor and things to do that type of role. So yeah, like I said, I'm excited about the future of Uncharted. But yeah, you want to start getting into here a little bit here about the individual performances. I don't know, are we going to start giving up spoilers now?
Well, I wanted to let's see, unless you're done talking about it in general, because I didn't want to talk about individual things, because it would be more spoilery, unless you're ready to go, unless you had anything else you want to mention about the shots or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. Not the shots and stuff. Just probably just some thoughts on each individual character, and the actor, how they portrayed them. I thought just want to get into that, which I think we were gonna do a little bit. So, but I'll
Okay, yeah,
let you.
so we'll have some spoilers going forward, so we're not gonna like give away the whole movie, but in general, when we're talking more in depth about each of the characters, it's kind of hard to avoid spoilers about who they are and what they do. So spoiler alert is official right now, and let's go ahead and start it with what do you think about Sophia Ali as Chloe, the character, as well as the actress and how she portrayed that character?
So I thought she was good. I thought she did a good job as far as being like that. You didn't know what to expect from her. Was she like going to, the whole dynamic between the cast is like they don't trust each other, but you see that in her, like she's very suspicious of what's going on. She knows not doesn't want to trust. She knows that she doesn't want to trust Sully because she's dealt with them in the past, but she also isn't sure about Nathan yet because she's just met him. But she's kind of like, well, if you're friends with Sully, I don't know if I should trust you. Um, but Chloe, the character, I thought that was like her playing Chloe. I thought she was good in that. One thing I didn't realize, apparently that's supposed to be an Australian accent, and I didn't think that was an Australian accent. So I guess that's like the only criticism I would give um, Sophia Ali is I thought she was doing more uh, like a a Britishy ish accent. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know if she was going for that. The character's not Australian, but
that's what I was reading. I was like,
yeah,
"This is supposed to be Australian, really?" Because that's not Australia. That's terrible.
yeah,
That's how I supposedly I thought that's what they said, that she was going for an Australian. But if she's not, then it's fine.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's my thoughts on her. I thought she did well, and she again, I thought she had the nice she played um well off of Mark Wahlberg, and she played well off of uh Tom Holland as well, because obviously those were the main characters that she was on screen with. So I thought, like I said, yeah, I liked her. How
Yeah,
about you?
I thought Chloe, the character, was really good as and, just to quickly mention again, acting performances in this movie weren't like anything spectacular, but adequate. And I think Sophia Ali did well as Chloe. Um, I'm totally fine with seeing her again and doing more as this character. And again, Chloe, she was good. They have the history. Again, this is stuff that's pulled from the games. This is the early days of Nathan, and if this is like the first, I don't know. I don't remember exactly the first interaction they had in the games, but I know he knew her before the first game. So um in general, she did good. Like I said, the way they set her up, no one trusting each other, and really truly, like, you really shouldn't trust her. At the same time, she was like, she saw the trustworthiness within Nate, but she also used opportunities and took advantage of them to be, and showed that she wasn't as trustworthy as she let on.
Right,
Or just a simple fact that she still wants what's best for herself. Like, she's still, number one is still Chloe, and she took every opportunity to better herself whenever she could, and ended up backfiring on her. But that's still, like, that just shows you how much Nathan grew over the course of this movie. Him being trustworthy person, trusting everyone, and realizing, like, no, I'm a thief, and I'm associating with thieves. I shouldn't be trusting thieves. And now I know how to deceive another thief, and up my own game and get what I need out of this. So I really enjoyed her, though. I think of all the characters, no, she's not my favorite, but she's close. Like, we'll get to my favorite character a little bit later. Um, but real quick, there was a part of the movie which I don't know, you may not have noticed or known ahead of time, but when they jumped out of the plane, which is in the trailer,
hmm
they jumped out of the plane to hit the sea, and once they got to the island, they were walking up, and there was a guy the on the beach who was talking to them for like
yeah,
quite a
that's
bit.
right.
That guy is Nolan North, so he had
hmm
a cameo in the movie. So Nolan North, that guy, is the voice actor for Nathan Drake in the video games. So him sitting on the beach, this is a spoiler, and it's not much. He's not like central to the plot or anything. It's just a nice wink nod. Like, he played this character for 10 plus years over the course of 4 5 no 4-ish games. I think there's some other like smaller games that he was in as Nathan. So they was just giving him an opportunity to, just paying him back a little bit, letting him be in the movie, because he does a lot of voice acting. He does do some actual, like, traditional acting from time to time, but most of his work is voice acting. Fun fact: Nolan North is not only the voice of Nathan Drake; he's voiced many other characters, including Deadpool in the Deadpool video game, as well as Deadpool in other video games and animated movies. So this is, for the most part, the voice of Deadpool on the animated side or the video game side. So that's just a really fun thing. And he does a great job at Deadpool too. Like, the Deadpool game itself is meh, but um, his voice acting in it Like he is pretty much like how you see Ryan Reynolds. Like he's Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. Nolan North is also Deadpool, and that's in that same vein.
Yeah. Um, yeah, 100%. I think that was a fun scene. I mean, like I haven't played the games obviously, but like it clicked to me right away. I understood because I remember I remember before the movie that he was gonna make a cameo in it, and when he says the line that he says, it's like, oh yeah, that's him.
Mhm.
Because you pick it up right away because he's like, yeah, I did this. It happened. This happened to me before. So I was like, oh, that's him.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um,
and then
uh,
like for anyone that doesn't know, in general with these games, it's not just voice acting. They actually call it performance acting or performance capture
right.
would be more specific. So they're not just in a booth recording their voice, but they're actually with in the suit with the little white balls all over themselves and have a little mic. And they're the scenes that you play in the game, like the punching, the pushing, the jumping, and all this stuff. They're actually doing it and voice acting at the same time. So if he's huffing and puffing while he's running, is because Nolan North is actually running around and getting that performance capture with all of the other actors too. So they're acting at the same time with their full on suits and stuff. So he's been doing that for so long for Nathan Drake. As well as other, performance captures, and that's just a thing to do in the industry now, especially with this game company that makes the Uncharted games, Naughty Dog, which now that I remember, there was an Easter egg for that as well towards the beginning, which I think I told you I missed the actually beginning of the movie. So I don't even know what happened in the first couple minutes, but
So
yeah,
did you see the when they were in like when they were like even younger, like when Nathan was like 10?
nope.
So you didn't
I saw
you missed all
I
that.
saw
Okay.
the first part I saw was Nathan was at the bar making the drinks for the girl,
Okay, yeah.
and he stole the necklace. So
So you
that
miss you miss a decent chunk of the beginning. Like
yeah.
so the again spoiler, the beginning of the movie is showing him and his brother, Sam Drake,
Mhm,
and they're both orphans, and they show Sam as like the guy that that's into like adventures, like looking for clues, finding a map that can find a treasure. And they show them breaking into like a museum, and basically like Nathan takes after him really, and that's why where Nathan gets that side of him from, like essentially. And then they show where so they get caught, and then eventually Sam is supposed to get arrested because I think he's of legal age or something like that, if I can't remember correctly. But then he runs away, and leaves, like tells Nathan, I'm not leaving you. I'll be back for you in a sense. And then fast forward, and you know what happens at that point. But yeah, that's essentially the beginning. So you missed a, I think you
Yeah, I
missed a
miss a
pretty
lot.
decent amount, like yeah, of the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, because I was about to say I wish they had went into his like why all of a sudden he just goes from serving cocktails to being able to jump across the ceiling, whatever, and shooting guns and stuff. Like, where does that skill set come from? Like, there you go. I just missed the
Yeah,
the
and
first
it's
beginning of the
stuff.
movie.
Yeah, it's basically he's always trained, like even from he's trained to do all those this things from, and he's learned from his brother, and then obviously he probably has from being 10 to older, he probably practiced his craft since then, to do those things. So yeah, uh, yeah, the beginning is pretty important.
Yeah, I showed up at the movie theater about 5 minutes early. I was planning on getting popcorn and all that stuff, and went to the AMC, and I ordered the tickets the day before, and it said vaccination required, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Because went to the AMC a month ago to see Spider-Man, and I just had my mask on and went in. But when I went to the box, I showed him my scan ticket, and it's like your vaccination card and your ID. I'm like, actually need my card to get into the here. I have my mask on, and all that. He said, if you have a picture of your phone, that's fine too. So I'm looking at my phone. I don't have any pictures of it. So I had to go all the way back home, grab my vaccination card, and then come back. And it was like maybe 30-40 minutes that I hadn't, missed all the previews and stuff, and apparently a significant part of the movie. So
Right,
uh
yeah. Yeah,
yeah, that's what happened to me.
you got to keep your vaccination card on your phone, man. That's the day and age we live in. You have to have the
Yeah.
copy on you at all times, just in case. Just in case, man. Be
Yeah, apparently.
prepared.
Yeah, I don't socialize enough for the situations like this occur.
Yeah, I've been to because I went to the Bulls game, so I knew that they wanted a picture. So most places, like even when we went to Comic-Con, they wanted to see
Right. Well,
just a
that one I
picture.
knew.
Yeah, yeah. They just want to see a picture. They don't need the physical card. But whatever. But yeah, I think moving on. I know you have some other. You had posted some other stuff here. I wanted you to mostly lead this just because I knew
Yep.
you had a lot more relations with the video game and the movie.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so want to talk about Antonio Banderas's character, Santiago Moncada. Um, this is a new character. This is not a character that was in the game, so there's no translation or anything that needs to be, compared to. So I want to know from your point of view, what did you think about the character, his acting, and think about the character and what they did with his character in the movie from your perspective.
yeah, I thought his character was good. Like, I mean, he didn't have. I mean, he was a kind of a vague character. So at the beginning, like you learned a little more and more about him and who he was, as far as what the relationship of him to what the treasure that they were looking for, like the family treasure and whatever have you. Like Antonio Banderas is a good actor. Like he's obviously very well known as far as who he is and what he's done. Um, so yeah, I liked him. I thought I was shocked at what happened with him in the movie. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is crazy. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I liked him. I liked his role. I liked his the what do you call it? His who he was, like the as an antagonist, like his objective of the movie. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I think he felt intimidating enough that he felt like he's definitely the bad guy. Like between the interactions with him and his father, the way he treated Braddock, who we'll talk about shortly, as well as even with the Chloe, because he hired Braddock, and behind Braddock's back, he hired Chloe, and that's where some of the betrayals were taking place between Chloe and Nathan and Sully, were partly that. But just yeah, that twist wasn't expected, and I'm fine with it. I think it was really good in general. But this is where some of the writing, I think the writing again for the movie was just kind of adequate. It did enough. Like that was a good fake. I really liked that fake with all of the antagonists in this movie. But in general, I think it can be kicked up a notch a little bit. So um, I think mentioned this before when we were talking about Uncharted, that I had wrote a blog post and made a video on, like, when I was doing other stuff many years ago. It was back in 2016 that I wrote that this movie had cast Tom Holland to be Nathan Drake. So 6 years ago, they cast Tom Holland to be Nathan Drake, and now the movie has come out. And I think, that just shows you how much of a struggle it's been to release the movie, to get the right director, to get the right, because they've gone to like probably 6+ directors in this entire time, and you got to get the budget and stuff. I think with a better budget, they can make the movie look better in the marketing. They can give it a bigger marketing push, can have better writing and have something more dynamic. Although again, nothing bad in the writing, but I would love for something more dynamic to have happened, and all of these the fight scenes, the plot twists, the character development, and so on. And then this movie could be like a really solid franchise.
Yeah, and like we talked about on our last episode when we were talking about V for Vendetta when they wanted to make that movie like in the 80s, early 90s, but that it didn't officially get made till like 2003. So like
Mhm.
we had talked about all the studio issues, the director issues, the writers, who was going to pick it up. That's like the behind the scenes stuff. A lot of movies like they get picked up and they get shelved, and it's a long process sometimes, about getting the right actors or right people to commit to doing the movie, and officially being made. Some movies it goes faster than others, but other sometimes some movies that end up getting made, they were originally supposed to be made like 10 years before the it actually came out. So yeah, it's definitely, it lines up, with a lot of the stuff you hear about.
Mhm. All right, and lastly, last significant character of the movie was Braddock, played by Tati Gabrielle, and that would be the woman in the back choking Mark Wahlberg there. And yeah, I had no idea the significance of this character. I didn't even notice her in the trailers or any of the promotions or anything before the movie. Like the first time seeing the character was truly when I watched the movie, and I really liked her. I liked her as an actress. I liked her the character. I thought again playing with that fake out with Moncada, that worked really well for me, and I enjoyed seeing not just a female villain, but just seeing the fake out of the character as she went from being like a henchwoman or just for hire to actually calling the shots and driving forward the antagonist in this movie, like the whole trying to get the goal, trying to get the money, trying to beat Sully, and having that relationship with Sully, knowing him from the past, knowing that he's a liar and a cheat and all of that stuff. That was fun. I actually really enjoyed her as a character a lot, and I don't know how busy she is as an actor, but I look forward to seeing her again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she's going to be in the movie again, in a future adaptations, or whatever other movies that she ends up in. But yeah, I thought she did a great job as as one of the antagonists. I thought she kind of like fully immersed herself in the physicality of her role. Like she had some really
Yeah.
cool fight scenes, action
Hmm.
scenes. Uh, I thought she delivered a really good performance. It's interesting that they showed her having a previous relationship, like a romantic relationship with Sully, supposedly. Um, which again, Hollywood does that thing where you have a young, attractive woman with an older guy thing, like that's like twice her age. But it's okay, whatever. No, not being ageist or anything here. I'm just kind of, it's always comical when they have that. But yeah, I thought she was awesome. I really liked her character. I thought, like I said, both her and Sophia Ali. I thought they were a good balance to Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland. And Mark, I'll say this about Mark Wahlberg, like he's just Mark Wahlberg. Like his role, like he's Sully, but he's Mark Wahlberg. Like that,
Hmm.
and every movie he does, it's Mark Wahlberg, right? It's not necessarily like changing his acting to the movie. It's just he's just being Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
So
and it worked
that's
fine
fine. That's
for
fine.
yeah, it
Yeah,
worked fine for this movie. Like, because
I
again,
think it.
yeah,
No,
like
I'm saying it's
Sully is a older guy. Uh, but at the end of the day, all like Sully cares about is the big payout, the big payday,
right, right,
and that's all that Mark really needed to convey is that he all he cares about is getting paid, and he
right.
did
Well,
that just fine.
And I think Mark Wahlberg, I think he understands his range. So the roles that he picks aren't like he's not trying to like pick roles that he won't be able to do. So like every movie he's done has been very much that like in that mold, if you will. So yeah, like I said, I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm just saying
Yeah.
he's smart. He's Mark Wahlberg in the movie. He's as smart. He's as you know you can see that he's just kind of being Mark Wahlberg.
Mhm. Yeah, I think if anyone that's like played the games that's upset with it being Mark Wahlberg is because Sully is such a he has that old man swagger. Like
Hmm.
he's not the spring chicken that he used to be, but at the same time, he is so smooth and he's so charismatic as a character. Still a liar, still a cheat, but just as you saw in the development of the movie, they didn't like Mark or Sully and Nate didn't really trust each other fully, and there was still going to be like some backstabbing at some point. But once they went through the events of the movie and you get to the end, you see that they are like legitimately partners now and they're friends. They have a level of trust and they're going to go out and try to get more treasures and do things like that. There won't be any more backstabbing. And Sully is like that in the games where you know that he's got this shady past and he's lied a whole lot, but at the end of the day, you can rely on Sully for one thing, and that he wants money, and that he's trying to get the big treasure. He's trying to get paid as much as possible, and he's trying to make sure that you're not screwing him out of anything. And Mark did just fine with all of that. He just doesn't have the old man swagger part because he's not really an older guy, and
Right, right.
like he's gonna be missing that. So if anyone's in the like, oh, Sully's not right because they made him younger. He's not the same older guy, so he's not going to feel the same in that regard. But other than that, like you said, he did totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. There is a question that we have from King Pookie Nation. Before we get to that, any final thoughts on Uncharted that
Um,
you have?
I look forward to hearing if they're going to do another movie. If because another maybe you don't know particulars. We already talked about Tomb Raider. There
Right.
was a Tomb Raider movie that came out a couple years ago, which
Hmm.
they've already I think they're shooting a sequel. They already greenlit a sequel. I don't know if it's in production right now, but the Tomb Raider and Uncharted franchises are very closely associated with each other. They're kind of like they're not like really button heads or anything, but they do similar things where one inspires the other and then the other inspires that. So I don't know if that means the next Tomb Raider movie will be more like this, because comparing the two, honestly, I like the Uncharted movie a little bit more than the Tomb Raider reboot movie. I think the Tomb Raider movie was super boring and it was just okay. Where this one, I was like, it's favorable. I actually like it. So I'm wondering if there will be a change in philosophy and implementation with the new Tomb Raider sequel and how they go back and forth.
Yeah. So another note here it says Sony Pictures Chairman Tom Rothman called Uncharted a new hit movie franchise, which essentially is fueling rumors of a movie sequel. And honestly, the teaser sets up a sequel too, in the post credit. If you stayed for that, I don't know if you stayed for that, Carl, but
Mhm.
and we're not going to get into the post credit stuff, but I don't know. There's not much to dissect that
Yeah,
I
I
know
honestly don't know
of.
what they were setting up, and I'm trying to think about the games, which has been a long time since I've played them, so I
Mhm.
don't know all of the lore perfectly. But they were trying to tease like they was watching someone or someone was looking at them or something. I don't remember, but it didn't really hit for me. Nothing clicked for me, so I'm just like, okay, well, we'll find out what that is later.
Yeah. Well, I
But
guess
hopefully, yeah.
oh, just to kind of give away again what the post grad like they were meeting with somebody and that they wanted something like I think it was a map, right? Like a something like a something
Yeah,
or
kind of.
another, and they basically that picture we show of Sully with the mustache. That's the post credit scene where he comes in and to back up Tom Holland or Nathan Drake, and then as they're leaving, because not only do they get what they want, but they were going to do a trade, but then Tom being a master thief ends up taking back what he was going to give the guy for a trade, and then as they're leaving, they get stopped by somebody. They're just somebody that they supposedly know, and like, what are you doing here? So maybe it's Tati Gabrielle. Maybe she's still around, or maybe
I
it's
don't know
Sophia
about
Lilly,
that.
or maybe. Hey man, come on! We know we've seen crazy things happen in movies. You think someone's done and they're still around, so you never know, man. We've seen the stuff that happens in movies, and then somehow characters still survive. But it could be Sophia Ali too, because obviously she's still there. She was kind of pissed off at them in the end for being hoodwinked.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a wrap on Uncharted. Now, King Pookie Nation again throw us a completely different question than what we were talking about for today's show. Our thoughts about Halo the show. No thoughts at all. I haven't watched it. How about you, Carl?
It's not a show. Well, it is a show that's coming out. It's I believe there's a trailer for it. I
Oh,
have
okay,
not. Yeah, it's Halo is a video game as well, so it'll be an adaptation
right.
of that. I have played Halo only so much in my life. Like I've never owned an Xbox, so I've
I
never.
so
Yeah.
I'm not a
Go.
gamer, but I have played Halo. Like, and mostly Halo I've played is the when you're playing with like a multiplayer thing and
Yeah.
trying to kill each other, or are on a team and fighting another side, kind of like I don't know if it's like similar to the way they do Call of Duty or like those war
Yeah.
games. But yeah, that's what I played. I've seen a little bit of like the actual game action when the story mode. So I've familiarity with Halo the video game for sure. So I mean, I'll probably watch the show when it comes out. I have no doubt about that
It
because
is
I'm
on
always.
Paramount Plus, so you have to have a subscription there.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll just have a friend of mine run his magic and download it. So I'm sure
Mhm.
he'll do that. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I've
he'll be able
actually
to.
not watched this trailer yet because I'm not. I personally am not a Halo person because again, it's only on Xbox. I don't have an Xbox, and like you, I've gone to friends' houses back in the day, and used to have LAN parties and play multiplayer deathmatch. But I was the worst at it because I didn't actually own the game, and I always got my butt whooped. So I didn't really know much about the story. I have watched a few people play the games recently, but not that I was paying a whole lot of attention either. In general, again, this is the first time I'm seeing a trailer. It looks very nice, though.
Yeah,
It
looks
seems to, like
cool.
visually, it looks a lot like the games. Master
Hmm.
Chief looks really dope there. Um, right now, I don't have a Paramount Plus subscription. I wasn't planning on watching this, but I know a lot of people are excited for it, and I believe they're already planning like a second season of this. Um, and there was something else that I heard about this series, but I'm not 100% sure of. But yeah, I really don't know a ton about it. Um,
Yeah, I haven't really looked into like what they've done and how far they've gotten and
yeah,
things like that. So like I'll probably watch it with like I said, my friend will probably my friend like a few of my friends are really into the game, so like I'm sure they'll probably want to watch the show, and the friend that downloads the movies will definitely want to. My friend Nate, he'll probably download the show, so I'll probably watch it, and if anything, maybe we can just do like a thing where I watch it, where I give my thoughts and you can ask me questions or something
sure.
about the show. But yeah, that's a wrap again for today's show. Obviously, we really appreciate anyone that tunes in to watch us on YouTube. Again, obviously, appreciate anyone that tunes in general, even on the audio side. If you miss any previous shows, obviously, please look us up on the Barroom Network. where you can look at the videos. Sometimes it's nice to see the videos because like we've put up pictures and stuff to talk about certain characters or actors and stuff like that, where we're trying to show who they are. So it could be helpful, but yeah, the audio is obviously good too, where you can at least listen to our thoughts on the various different things like MCU and other movie related topics that we've discussed on here. And obviously, please check out all the other great shows that Barroom Network does, especially our my guy Lero who popped in here, Bulls 101 with my buddy Chris as well. He does a great show there. And I know obviously Aldo does a lot of the Bears related shows. He gives a lot of great thoughts on the Bears. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And as always, for Carl, Ames, and myself, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys later.